In this video, we're going to cover the backhanded dice throws that you can use on the craps table. Hey, my name is Joe and this is my Craftsmaster dice shooting journey. Let's make it yours as well. Hey, towards the end of this video, I'm going to be covering my favorite grip, but the first grip we're going to cover today is the most commonly used on-axis grip that you see at the craps table. It's called the 3-finger front grip. Starting off, I normally score off the dice approximately 10 to 12 inches from the wall right in front of me, and I use my thumb and my forefinger just to square it off. Sometimes I use my ring finger to push the dice in, or my middle finger sometimes to push that dice in tight so I can keep the crack minimal. Next, I'll use my pinky and my index finger to pull the dice in together tight. To get into the 3-finger front, I'll keep my index and pinky fingers on the outside as I place my thumb and middle finger in the exact center of the crack between the two dice. Then I'll place my index finger and my ring finger on the dice. The goal is to keep the dice square and together as tight as possible, and also to keep your finger pads or your fingertips, depending on how you grip the dice, as close as you can to the edge of the dice. If you look on a dice on the video here, my fingertips are barely at the center part of the pips, the top of the dice. And the pips are those white dots that you see on the dice. The next grip we're going to go through is the 2-finger front, and it's called 2-finger front because that's what we have on the front side. To get into it again, I'll push the dice in tight together. I'll put my thumb on the back side of the dice, and then I'll put my middle finger in the center of the left dice as I'm looking at it, and my ring finger goes on the middle of the right dice as I'm looking at it. And then again, we're going to check to make sure that the dice are square, that they're kept tight together, and then we would get set up and go into our throwing position. The third grip we're doing is called the 1-finger front. Again, we'll pull the dice in tight with our index and our pinky finger, and we'll put our thumb in the middle part of the crack on the back side and our middle finger on the middle of the crack on the front side. Again, check to verify that the dice are tight together, that they are square and even, and then you set up and get ready for your throw. The next backhanded toss, or backhanded on-axis toss, is we call the blanket. And you have two different ways to do this. You can either grip it after you score the dice off. Grip it with your thumb on one side and your index finger on the other side. Make sure that to the dice. So this is where that using your pinky and your index finger actually comes in handy, because we're going to put it down all the way to the table, push in on the sides of the dice. We're going to use our thumb, place it on a table, push it into the center of the back of the dice, and then our middle finger is going to go in the center of the left dice, and our ring finger will go in the center of the right dice. And that's called the blanket grip because we have a grip on all sides of the dice, and we're using all 5 fingers. As an option to the first 3 that I showed you guys, kind of like the blanket grip, we could do a 3-finger front and put our fingers all the way down on the bottom of the dice. That's how I started doing my dice throws. I actually did a 2-finger front with my fingers all the way down to the bottom of the dice. And the reason I did this is because it was hard for me to grip the edge of the dice until I learned the dice grip that I'll be showing you guys in a little bit. You can also do the same grip with the 2-finger. We're going to pull it in tight with our index finger and our pinky. And we can also do the 2-finger or the 1-finger at the bottom of the dice as well. Now, one of the reasons that a lot of people don't like doing this all the way down, this deep grip, is because you have a tendency when you release the dice to actually push them, which will cause them to split in the front. And what will happen is they'll rotate as they go through the air, and you might get off of axis that way. Now, next one is what is my favorite dice, and this is the way that I grip the dice. And this is called a 3-finger diagonal, 3-finger front diagonal, in fact. And what I do is I use my index finger and pinky to push the dice in tight, and I'll take the tip of my thumb and I'll rotate the dice back towards me. So I can put my middle finger in the center of the crack on the opposite corner of the dice. Now, the reason I like this dice grip is because it's easy for me to tell if they're square and if the dice are tight together, and I can do that without looking. The other reason I like it is because this has got some of the least amount of finger contact on the dice, because you're only touching the edges. You can go with the same grip, the 2-finger front diagonal, set up the same way, push in with your index finger and your pinky, And you're going to go ring finger on the middle of the right dice, middle finger on the middle of the left dice, thumb is on the corner or the edge of the opposite side of the dice. And then the last backhanded on axis grip that we can do is the diagonal one finger front. And this one probably has the least amount of all the grips I'll show you, least amount of finger contact or surface contact onto the dice. What you're doing is you're using your index finger and your ring finger to pull the dice in tight. Use your thumb to flip the dice backwards, get your thumb on the edge of the dice, and then put your middle finger on the edge of the opposite side of the dice in the center of the crack, so that way everything's centrally located. When you throw your dice now, all you're going to do is just release that thumb, and we'll get more into that in a future video. A little tip is when you're practicing your dice grips, make sure that you pick one that is comfortable for you. This is based off of comfort and functionality. So make sure you do what's comfortable for you, not what you think is best because somebody else is telling you that that's best. Pick your most comfortable grip and then practice getting into it. Just practice it non-stop. Like I said, I did mine for 5-6 hours just practicing my front three-finger front diagonal. And it took me a little bit to learn how to get the grip. I had to fine-tune it so that way it could become habit. But once I got it down, it actually became really comfortable. And like I said, I did it for 5-6 hours straight, just gripping, putting it back down, gripping, putting it back down, gripping, putting it back down. And eventually became comfortable for me. So, hey, if you're finding values in these videos, make sure that you give me a thumbs up, make sure that you share them. Please leave a comment with the type of grip that you use. And, if it's something different than what I'm doing, maybe leave an explanation. If you want to find out what the 10-step Craftsmaster Journey method to shooting dice is, click on the link on the right-hand side. Hey, my name is Joe, and this is my Craftsmaster Dice Shooting Journey. Please, please, please join along and make it yours as well.